Then let's zoom into the area that we're looking at in the daily analysis, and that was the crown setup that I was discussing. If we just take a look here, this was in actual fact what we're potentially looking at as the crown. It's broke the trend line, it's taken out this A low, and therefore we're now looking for it to come back to test the back of the trend line. And this area is where we'll be looking at to get in for the actual right tip area. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. Do we have any fundamental announcements coming up around about this time? No, we don't. We have one at 10 o'clock, so we would be reasonably okay to maybe get in here. But this is the area that we're looking at to get in. Now, effectively, this area right here, which is the A low point, previous support becomes resistance. This would be a reasonable time to get in as well. But let's just take this off and let's just put in our Fibonacci, because we've taken out this A low. So this becomes our A, B. So this becomes the B, this becomes the A. Let's get rid of this Fibonacci here. And what we should be looking at now is putting our A, B Fibonacci down. So it came back to a 38.2. Previous support becomes resistance is at the 38.2. So let's have a look. If we were to get in right here at this area, and potentially we'll be looking at around about 34 pips or so, a risk of around about 25, so just better than a one-on-one. But potentially I would still have been waiting for it to come a little bit closer towards the back of this trend line. But here, because I've been talking away, this would have been not a bad entry. As I say, previous support becomes resistance, and therefore this is the area here though that we're looking at, which would be our potential right tip area right here, or at this point right here. Okay, so these would have been the ideal entry points at these points right here, and the way this is moving, it would have been more potential, or potentially this would have been the better entry rather than this particular entry. But remember, these are your potential left tip areas here, this point right here. So it may still come back up to this area, so let's wait and see. I'm going to place it on pause, and I'm going to wait for it to come back up to around about the 61.8 area. If it does come into that area, folks, then you should look to try and get into that trade. Okay, so I'll just place you on pause. Okay, then just let's take another quick look at where we are right now. You can see that I've drawn in this particular trend line here, or this particular level of resistance that we had right here. It's a strong level of resistance, and therefore we should expect some sort of support at this area. Therefore, if we now take a look at this and the risk-rewards ratio, if we get in at this sort of area, then we'd be looking to gain around about 24 pips if this bounced there, okay, as a get-out area. But we are risking around about the 25 pips, so you're still on a one-on-one. But I would still prefer, and this is why I'm saying I would still prefer to see this come into a deeper area. I would still prefer to see this come towards these left tip areas, sort of this area right here. If we can get anywhere close to this area, or the 61.8 area right here, with this move, this current up move, I would feel a lot more comfortable about taking the trade. And the reason I'd feel more comfortable is because if we look from this, I would be taking a risk of around about 16 pips there in actual fact, and looking at taking a minimum of 32. So all of a sudden I've now got a 2-to-1 ratio. But let's wait and see. If this doesn't retrace up to the 618, then fine, I've missed the trade. You can get in right now. You can see now it's come right up to the pip, look. If you take a look at this, it's come right to the pip right here. This was your previous support, now becomes resistance. So is this a time to get in? Well, if you wish to get in, that's what you could be looking at. That could be your strategy. You're not going to wait for the test of the back of the trend line, but personally I prefer to wait for the test of the back of this trend line. This is what I prefer to wait for, this here, and then the extension, the move towards the extension. My preference might not be yours. Let's put this on hold again. Okay then, just before we continue to watch, what I want to do is I want to just go over what we call a low probability crown setup. We can see here, we can clearly see the crown, the potential crown setup. Potentially we've got the left tip, we've got the center tip right here, and we've broken the trend line, we've taken out this particular low point right here, and now we're looking to come back up to an area where we would have a potential right tip, and this is the potential right tip here. This is your potential right tip, testing the back of the trend line. Now, The one issue that I have with a lot of traders when we're looking to trade the crown is that they don't look at where the potential right tip could come back to. Because here, this is a good crown setup because the trend line will be providing resistance at a good point or at a potential point of a right tip. If we take a look at that, your left tip area potential, your left tip area potential. But regardless of which, if it comes up to these areas, it will test the back of this trend line, and more importantly, this high point here, it will not take out the high point in testing the back of the trend line. This is what you've really got to look for. If this particular move, and just let's take all this off, if this particular move right here, in testing the back of the trend line, came up and was going to take out this high point here, look, if it was going to do that in testing this back of this trend line, then this is a low probability crown, because all you've done is you've now moved the channel, and we've now gone from the down AB to now a new AB, up AB, we've moved the channel. This trend line here would move down to this area right here, so this would be the new trend line area right up here, and all we've done is move the channel. So it's extremely important that when you're looking to trade a crown, will this right tip take out the high point? If the answer is no, then you've got a good probability crown. If the answer is yes, it could take out by coming up to test the back of this trend line, it could take out this high point. That's a low probability crown, and you should keep away from the trade. Okay, so just let's keep it back, let's put it back on pause and see where it goes. Okay then, just let's bring us up to date with this particular trade right now then. Well, it would appear that it's gone without us. It's a moving train. You don't jump on a moving train, so it's gone without us on this one. But on this particular occasion, you can see that past support became resistance to the pip, and of course it took off. What you've also got there, look, is you've really got quite a nice, if you look at that, nice evening star decision candle, indecision, bullish, bearish decision candle, an engulfing bearish candle there. So that's the decision, but it looks like we've lost this one, folks. It didn't come up to where we wanted it to go up to, but that's fine. You've missed this trade. We'll catch the next one. I'll catch you later. Thank you very much.